weeks. I'm Baker Pachano in New York. Weeks and weeks of negotiations between progressive, moderate, and conservative Democrats and the White House regarding the reconciliation bill all appear to be coming to a head as President Biden now wants to see the price tag trimmed down to about $1.9 trillion, which is down from the original $3.5 trillion vision, which, by the way, also down from the original $6 trillion vision that progressives had wanted in Congress earlier. Now, a smaller price tag means a lot less that the bill can do for Americans, but still $1.9 trillion can still do a lot. So for more on this, let's bring in Representative Khanna, Democrat of California. Congressman, always good to have you back here on Cheddar News. Thanks so much for joining us. So for this whole negotiation, you've been pretty open about wanting to sit down with your moderate colleagues in the Senate and really just hash out something, anything here. Now that you're at the table, what are your thoughts about how this bill is turning out here?
Well, it's an extraordinary piece of legislation. We're finally going to give every American child preschool in this country. We're going to have child care. We're going to have paid family leave. We're going to have massive investments in solar and wind. Seniors are going to get dental and vision and hearing. So these are policies progressives have been wanting for decades that we're going to get to deliver. Now, it's a first step. Some of them are not as long as we'd like. Some of them are not funded to the level we'd like, but it's still a very, very important first step.
A lot of us were wanting to know how the climate initiatives in this plan would work out. There was a lot of obviously ambitious climate goals in this, but Joe Manchin has really kind of put a stop to a lot of that. He's even come out over the course of the last week saying he's not even in favor of a carbon tax here. So that's kind of taken a lot of the teeth from the climate initiatives kind of out of this bill. So is there anything left, Representative, on the table that has some sort of impact that could save the planet here?
It's a very fair question. We're not going to pass something that's not robust on climate. We made it clear to the White House that it has to hit the president's goal, 50% reduction by 2030. If certain provisions are taken out, then they need to be replaced with provisions that will do that, such as a fee on industrial carbon pollution or state block grants to hit those numbers. So that's being negotiated as we speak.
Okay, so the fact that Senator Manchin has a personal stake in the coal industry and the fact that Senator Kyrsten Sinema is getting tons of money from pharmaceutical companies, and that's why you're seeing the government negotiating with these drug companies also being taken out of the bill, does that add a lot of concern to you? Because these were supposed to be the popular parts of the bill here.
Well, I think we're going to get a robust climate bill, and I believe we will be able to convince Senator Manchin that a lot of those new jobs, clean jobs, will be in his state. The prescription drugs issue does concern me because we run on this every cycle, and it's so obvious it would save money for the American taxpayers. It would save money for people who are being gouged on prescription drugs. Let's have the Health and Human Services Secretary be able to negotiate, and I, for the life of me, can't understand why Senator Sinema is opposed to that. I mean, the entire Democratic Party wants that, and it is good policy, and it's exceedingly popular.
You were at the White House just recently talking with the president and many of the officials in the White House about this bill. What is the White House saying about the negotiations with Democrats in Congress right now? What's the sort of response from the White House here?
The president is deeply engaged. He is aware of all of the details. He's going item by item in trying to broker a fair compromise and move this forward. I mean, he wants the whole bill. It was his bill, but he is now saying, how can we get everything that convinces the two holdout senators to vote for this? So what gives me optimism is the fact that he's as engaged as he is, and he wants to go to Glasgow with something to show, and that's why I think we'll get it done by then.
Representative, how do you sort of see next week playing out? Speaker Pelosi has basically this deadline of next Friday to sort of get the ball moving on this all over again. Obviously, we know progressives want the Build Back Better plan in addition to the bipartisan bill here. But how do you sort of see this playing out? Joe Manchin's already basically saying we might see this not even done, by this deadline. It might take by the end of the year.
Well, I heard Senator Manchin today saying he's hopeful we could get a framework by the end of the week. So I believe what's been the game changer is the president's direct engagement, specific engagement. I mean, he met with us for almost 2 hours. He met with moderate House members for 2 hours. He's meeting daily with some of the senators who are still have concerns. I think he can get it done. And when he says, I need this before I represent the United States in Glasgow, that's a very powerful call. And my sense is people will give him what he needs.
Representative, I do want to talk about your relationship with Paris Hilton. She was on Capitol Hill yesterday. She was talking about abuse of children in treatment facilities, a really obviously issue close and near and dear to her heart. And we're big fans of Paris Hilton. We've had her here on Cheddar News multiple times. What was that like, meeting her and sort of doing this thing with her?
Well, Paris is so authentic and sincere and courageous in sharing what happened to her. I had the chance a few months ago to hear her speak about the abuse that she suffered at one of these congregate care centers, and she doesn't want that happening to American teenagers. I didn't realize how big a problem this was, but when teenagers get sent to these centers, often they are abused, often they're put in solitary confinement, sometimes they're not allowed to speak, sometimes they're harassed, even sexually harassed. And what our bill does is said, enough, we need to have a Bill of Rights so that every American teenager who goes to one of these facilities is treated with basic respect.
All right, Representative Khanna, Democrat of California, always a pleasure, sir, to have you.